Oh, what? Vas-y, c'est parti.
10, 9, ignition sequence start.
Hello, everyone. This is Loretta Sternovsky from Got Spouse Need House. From wedding bells to doorbells, we are an organization that specializes in working with newlyweds and engaged couples so that when you are ready for that real estate transaction, whether it's buying or selling, we provide many vendor benefits, including on the agent's side, 10% credit on when you are closing. We also have lender benefits and title benefits. So you can go to our website, Got Spouse Need House, and check that out. But in the meantime, we strive to provide resources and information while you're going through your wedding journey by bringing on people that are experts in their field that have to do with your wedding journey. And today we have a very exciting guest, Sandro Alessandro. I hope I said that right.
Yes, you did. One L double S. I usually get two L and one S.
He's based in New York. We had a little conversation before. New York is one of my favorite cities. I saw my first professional baseball game there, believe it or not. And not that I'm a huge baseball fan, but it is kind of a show, you know, when you go there. And I also,
Broadway show.
I was just going to say, and now that I've seen Broadway there, it's just really hard to see it anyplace else.
I know. Even the tour it's a tour is wonderful, but Broadway is Broadway, of course.
Of course it is. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into that?
Yes, I am an Italian-born human, hence the accent is not the choice of an actor, although at times I was accused of that, like, why do you fake that accent? I said, well, I guess my English is good enough for you to believe me. I've been here in New York since the 90s, 92, so it's like 34 years, whatever it is, the math, and therefore I'm at this point a New Yorker. And I am an actor, director, comedian, writer, songwriter, and dancer. And after being kidnapped by 8 shows a week for a long time on Broadway, in many capacities, I then finally in 2011, I think, walked away from it and decided to invent a new lane, which then became what I'm doing now, something that allows me to basically braid all the things that I know into one. You know, I direct, and I don't just choreograph, I just merge all these things, including my certification of a life coach just for passion. I never really did it professionally. That allows me with my acting craft, directing, its behavior, what I mold, to deal with people's personality and figure all out, which is an interesting part of the experience besides the dancing.
So many people, when they're growing up, if they look back, they go, oh, this is why I chose this career, because I had that passion as a young child, or something happened in their life that they had a mentor or whatever. What was your story about for dance when you were a child?
Actually, that's a very good question, because the first expression, of course, I can gauge and judge all that from the point of view of this adult now, I'm 56. But the first expression was music, was dance. I remember actually the very first memory I have was watching my brother sing a song. I remember very vividly. I could have been maybe one. I don't remember the whole thing, just vignettes. And I remember that the first memory I had was tied to music, to art, to that type of expression. So dancing was always something that I'd done as a child. It was actually the only way that I maybe got a little of attention from my parents, or, you know, we were like in a crowded house, you know, many of us, blah, blah, blah. And, but that shifted because of insecurities, you know, being a gay kid also in the 70s in Sicily. I became a little bit introverted. So then my passion became mostly about acting, so that I could live out other personalities, other ways to be extroverted in a way that I couldn't And that's when then my passion led to that lane, only to realize over the years that although I love my craft, I love molding behavior and all that. Interestingly enough, I didn't like the attention that came with. That's something that I discovered at some point, that I wasn't after exposing myself that way. My anonymity is sort of important. I didn't want to be famous. So when I started working with celebrity or see several of my friends become celebrities, more and more and more and more, I just shied away from it, because I realized that maybe my passion was a secondary gain towards something else. I wanted to seek me as a struggling kid. And that's and then this shift back to the very first thing that I felt, which was dancing. So it was an interesting arch that then brought me back to that killed impulse, which was expressing myself through a body that then became a source of insecurity, blah blah. And so yes, I went through all that process only to realize that I don't want to be seen that way. You know?
So when you are working with people, it's like you can tell someone has talent as a writer or a basketball player, or do people have like an inside talent that they can be a good dancer, or can anyone just learn?
Yes, hence my name. I know you can dance, because I think the problem is the set default dogmatic definition of dancing, that it's like the one that you see in Dancing with the Stars, or that you see in a perfection technical dynamic, whether if it's contemporary ballroom, hip hop, or whatever. And again, I spoke of insecurities. I not from a pedestal, but from a place where I actually felt that annoyed, and I recognize how people really become their own wall, their own cage, because they find things in a certain ways, and they think, no, I cannot get there. Something that I do myself in other elements, so I'm not foreign to that feeling. That's why I recognize it. And being that I have the tools on this specific world, then I really have a great passion to unleash basically I let people understand that the doorknob is on their hands. They don't need a key. They need to just turn.
Is that like an inhibition thing, do you think?
Yes, inhibition, insecurities, and again, an expectation that it's unfair, like that it's you don't have to be other people, you have to be you. So it's your frequency that we need to find. That's like there are set colors, but the saturations of each colors is infinite, if you like.
I mean, it's like, let's talk about rhythm. When you see people on the dance floor, some people are just naturally fluid, they have rhythm, and some people aren't. Is that something that someone can learn, or is that a natural skill? Or is
That's very true. There are people who are, it's like in singing, there are people who are just tone deaf, you know what I mean? They cannot. So yes, absolutely. I do encounter clients that really have no sense of rhythm. Therefore, then I need to merge into a lane where we find the equivalent of that rhythm in their body language. So it's basically linking to different things. At times you don't know how to dance to a musical measure or a beat or whatever it is that you want to approach this to. And often I dance to the lyrics, not the music. More so when people have a passion for a song, when they choose their song choice, they have a connection to the songs. Therefore, the structure of the lyrics could become the equivalent of the measure, the beat, the musical lane, so that they can express
have
to it
more
differently.
Emotion with it, because the lyrics mean something to them.
That gives them an access to movement that doesn't have to be the dance as we know it, but it's not dimming down the experience of the dance. It's just seeing it from a different angle. It's like if you can get through a door, then you climb up into a window. You know what I mean? To get inside the building. The door is the orthodox choice, but if you don't have the key, if you don't know how to open that door, then maybe you can have a ladder and climb that window and enter the building from a different place.
Okay.
It just takes to have the right shift that often that isn't seen even from the professionals. Like when you go to a dance studios, they have a dogmatic take of how to teach and what to teach that
Right.
doesn't encounter people. Like it's like almost like forcing terroristically a world that can connect or not with the other. And maybe, of course, if you ask me to compete in a ballroom competition, which I'm not particularly fond of, then I need to be strictly talking about technique because you gain or lose points that way from the judge. But when it comes to such a personal experience like a wedding day, that is where the protagonist is the couple, like people who go there, they're going there to celebrate them, not the dance that I create for them. So if the dance ends up kidnapping them from the moment, there's something wrong.
Mhm.
So whatever I do, in whatever level, with whatever creativity, it's important that they are the leads, they are the protagonists, that they are the experience. And then the dance is second to highlight it all and excite the people. So of course, yes, I push the envelope that way, but never at the cost of kidnapping them away from their moment.
Who they are. So if I sit beside you on an airplane and I say, "Oh, and what do you do? What is? How would you summarize what you do actually?"
I do say that I'm a dance instructor, but I always explain it that I work on my own, that I don't work in a dance studio. As a matter of fact, when people inquire about my services through the NAT mainly, I usually send an audio reply, not just a text reply. Although everything now works in text, but I am a product of the 90s. Before the internet, before the cell phones, I remember the landlines. I remember the time where the hashtag was a pound key, after the message. What I mean? It still is a pound key to me. And I explain that my approach is not the typical one of the dance studios. And I explain that I am not really the typical dance instructor, but I work in a different mode where then ultimately they don't really need who knows how many lessons, because my very goal, even though it might, from a dance studio point, it seems to be working against my interest, but it really isn't, is to get rid of them quickly, because I want them then to have the independence. I give them videos and all that to then process on their own for two main reasons. A, I want their confidence. Two, I want them to transcend me and the studio. Three, I want them to, as I said, learn it first and then F with it, because I want them then to learn from a place of clarity, but then the ownership of that clarity is what gives the access to that freedom. So it's like the decimal points to a new unit. First, stay with me, but then transcend me. And that's why I think at some point people just need to get rid of me. And usually I need 3 or 4 lessons instead of the many hundreds of lessons that you do in a studio, package of 5 and 10 or whatever.
Yeah. So did you come upon this different way of teaching dance just through sort of frustration and boredom of how it is traditionally done?
Yeah, I tried to, being in a Broadway show, I wasn't the entrepreneur. So my Thursday check was the check. Here you go. I'm Jurassic. Now it's a wire transfer. But at the time it was a check. And therefore I was seeking the dynamic of working for the dance studios and thinking that maybe they would appreciate the fact that I can connect to people in a specific way, to only realize that I was the antithesis of what they want. They wanted me to even slow down the process because the goal was to push yet another package. You know what I mean? I understand the economy. I understand the capitalistic system. I do get it in a way. There is a rent to pay, blah, blah, blah. But my filter was just first the one of these people are trusting me with something very important that I didn't even get to experience. Unfortunately, my partner passed away before the gay marriage even existed. So ironically, I didn't really get to experience, and I feel the responsibility of that trust And I didn't really like to even have meetings to strategize how to get even more money out of the car. And also, I didn't like to share space in a large ballroom. I like privacy is important, I think, for both the clients because they feel shy, and me too because I want to focus uniquely to them. And that's why then, many years ago now, more than 10 years ago, I adventure in doing it on my own. And I say adventure because in nature I am not really the entrepreneur. To this day I continue to be mediocre that way. I am amazed that I'm afloat the way that I am because of people's voice, because of the reviews that they leave me, that it's not one or two sentences that are these love letters, sometimes they make me cry, and the word of mouth. But otherwise, I do have like an Instagram account and a Facebook account, which doesn't make me look good because it's inactive since like 2017 or 18. Like, if you judge me from that, like this guy's dead because I really don't know how to operate and I don't feel comfortable enough to trust people to do it for me. I've learned until it works, I would like to just take care of it all on my own so that I can really ensure the ultimate connection with each and every client. So I'm grateful for the reviews that the people are leaving me because it really is the fuel to my otherwise the mediocre aspect of the entrepreneur's part. But I love it. I have my private room. I've allocated a studio, and so I do whatever I want, however I want it, with whatever I want. And in that audio that I send, I actually even explain that if you are looking for a conservative corporate environment or experience, I am not your choice because I might actually make some people uncomfortable because whenever I see you, immediately as if I know you. I laugh a lot. I joke a lot. I curse a lot. I touch you. I'm close with both her and both him because I do both role completely. And the things that actually I notice some instructors don't do, they do either the lead or the follower. So how can you really teach that? Because it's only by doing that I can explain them when she's back leading and when he's not really leading. Because unfortunately, when they practice, often the follow tends to want to back lead. And that's when I strip of all the rights or his rights if it's the same sex couple, because that's the only way it works. The follow needs to be an extension of the lead so that the lead can actually then improvise and customize the game. Otherwise, it's just this done a little structure. I don't even call it choreography. I often call it structure because I don't want it to be a cage. I structure it neatly for then the lead weave within in a way that it becomes almost improvised, even though it's actually structured.
Tell us about your first couple.
My
remember?
First couple. Do I remember my first couple? Yes, I do remember my first couple, actually, now that you mention it. Yes, I do. They were of Russian origin. And I'm laughing because it all's coming back to me very quickly. They both were very introverted. So I was actually worried about that because, of course, it was perfect that we were just doing this in a private room. But then at some point, of course, I also didn't have the approach and the tools that I have now. I learned over time how, by doing it, I've learned how to actually really do it. So even I was in a place of a different approach by then.
Yeah.
And once we completed these, I think it was a cha-cha with one of those Michael Jackson song that was released after his death. I don't remember now the title of it. I think Justin Timberlake was singing on it too. I don't quite remember the title. And they had fun. I broke through their shyness because of my personality. And so all of that happened. But then at the end, I remember gifting them. It was, okay, this is it. Now I have a gift for you. And we went, I work close to Colombo Circle. We went to Colombo Circle and said, let's do the dance here. And they freaked out. You know what I mean? They said, no, they're okay. Then I took them to the park, under a bridge and everything quiet. They said, let's do the dance here. And they did the dance. Then I moved them a little bit. Let's do the dance here. And then I got them to actually do it. on Columbus Circle. Once they showed me the video, it was actually really cinematic because it was without the music, and you see all this New Yorkness around, the people who didn't care. There was a ballerina doing her own thing, the splash of the water, and then these two doing this musicless dance. And that worked perfectly because I figure the concept of relativity. If they broke this, they're not going to be afraid of their friends and relatives, because if they could do it in front of strangers, then friends and relatives will be a little less threatening. And it worked, because then they actually delivered. And for the occasion, I actually was at the wedding because I wasn't as busy as I am now. So I had the time. They wanted me there, and I had the time to. Now I can. And I was so wonderful that even the mother of the groom came to me and said, like, you're a miracle worker. Like, and I was so joyful to see the whole thing happen. So that was my first couple. Now, yeah, I remember.
So if I want to hire you before to teach my fiance and I the first dance or whatever, what do couples expect? What's the process?
No, I think that because of my reviews, people now sort of have an expectation of what they find, and also my audio message that it's pretty specifically now I approach the process and all. Okay. However, they still come to the unknown, and you have no idea how fun it is for me to see that face, more so for the guys, because usually the guys are there not because of the passion of dance, because they don't want to look stupid in front of everyone. Yeah. So I see that face of fear and discomfort. At times even rigidity, not towards me, I don't take it personally, but at times people could be like borderline almost cold and rude to me. But I know that it's not about me. I just represent something that they don't like, and they.
One person is the instigator and saying we need to take a dance lesson.
Right? Usually, exactly. It depends, like one or the other. Like this one pulls the other. It depends on the. But to me, the joy is that by the end of the first hour, they live in a completely different phase. Because by then they already know that I am not asking them the uncomfortable process that they're anticipating. They realize that I am quickly merging into the lane. And that's what I do. I take the lady or the follow and I said, just obey, let me figure things out. And I just do things from his point of view, from the lead point of view, according to them, not according to me. And I take, like height ratios and things like that, like if the lady is taller than me and I said, like, if I was the groom, I would choose different things, but with him, it will work. So that kind of stuff. And then they realize that actually I'm doing things that they can actually pull off. That is not always about musical timing, unless it's wanted to. There are people who want a specific waltz. There are people who want to even to challenge themselves with a Viennese waltz or whatever. I do everything that people want to push themselves towards. But if not, then I create that structure of movement that they can actually really customize in connection to the music and in connection to each other. And that becomes doable, the personal, not phony, and therefore comfortable. And I remind them that you are learning only to F with it later. So I tell them, like, that's the freedom that I want you to get to. So work towards that, not towards the perfection of the dance. Learn towards the freedom that you can have only after you know what's going on.
So when couples come to you, do all of them have a song that they want to use? And have you said to them, that's not a good song to use, you guys should do this? Like how
Now, that's a very good question. Most of the time people know what they want. At times they're insecure and they ask me, what do you think? That is when then I immediately express my concern and care. And I tell them, you have all my assistance. However, only your heart knows what you want, because that is like a tattoo of your lifetime. It's your songs forever, today, in 20 years, and 30 years. So most people don't know what they want. At times they don't. That is when I ask questions and I start understanding what they might want to go. And that's maybe when I give suggestions for them to examine, right? I also tell them to be open-minded to changing their minds in the process if that is needed. Because at times there is the pressure of a choice. And I tell them, okay, let's go this lane. If at some point you go in another lane, don't worry. Tell me. I can reshape and use all that we learn differently so that we can get to what you want. At times, the fight. There is like somebody wants to go in a direction, somebody wants to go in another direction. And that is when then I take the fight, the conflict, and I say, okay, if they're opposite enough, we can merge them. And I like the theatrical going from a ballad to an up tempo. I do at times that with the sing song, like John Legend, All of Me, and then we go into the dance mix of the same song. Once I remember too, there were recently, it was on a recent wedding. We had such a great time. She wanted a song, he wanted another song, and then they were agreeing on a common song that was dancey. So the ballads were undecided, and they were aiming at one song. So I said, why don't we make this a thing? Meaning, let's sample his song, her song, and then let's end with the dance part of the one. And it became this perfect 3 songs edit that I kept within the right length. I always said between 2 and 3 minutes we're good. And it was the greatest time to go from pump, 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 when it makes sense. So yes, I support in all direction, including when it's not a good idea, when I think that the song is a little introverted, that becomes moody and doesn't reach out. However, there are people who really at times are stubborn or passionate for the choice.
Sure.
To me, then the challenge to take that moody introverted nature and create a movement that gives more dynamic than the song itself. It's a challenge for me, but at times I do that. When once I actually remember this woman was so excited about the song, and she got, "Do you like the song?" What came out of my mouth was, "I want to hurt myself," which is like, and I heard myself say, "But if you like it, it's your song." But
Yeah,
I am just so sad. I was just, but she stuck with the song, and I support it because that was the song. And if it is the song, it's right. That's why I felt comfortable in telling you, like, I want to hurt myself, because I was anyway committed to doing the best, because that was what was important to her. I was so sad.
So, that let's talk about trends, if there is such a thing. There's that trend, it was a few years ago, where it was like either the bride and groom or the girl and her dad would come out and they do all these, like, a mashup of music, dance. Is that still a thing? What's your opinion on that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do, and I actually have done things like that. Now, I love playing with parents, whether if it's the father or the daughter, or the mother, and at times it can be like specific and important, like this mother and daughter, because the dad passed away months before. So that becomes even more important to me to make it special, because it was also a celebration of the absence in there. And there are parents are very shy, and I do some little structure. There are others who just wake up with my playing, like that they realize, hold on a second, I can play over here in a way that they can do it. And there are some that are completely insane in a good way, that they just come up with their own, that they want to do this, they want to do that, that they go even bigger than they actually first dance. And then the mashup, yes, you're right, there was a time when it was common, where they did. And now I just do one song, or a mashup or two. But there was a time when people were going from a song to another, this and that. Like, for once, I remember it was this dad that in the mashup at some point, before the Deadpool mania, they did the bye 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 dance, the NSYNC.
Right.
I went to study the choreography because I didn't remember it. So okay, well, that's what you want, no problem, I got you. So I went, saw the video, and that was before this Deadpool mania, because it became very famous now that everybody does it on TikTok and stuff. So I said, okay, then I did the whole thing. I still remember I did that for the dad, and we matched it all up that way. So that's, but it's not as strong as it used to be.
Right.
However, it continues to be fun for me to create for parents. Once I remember, actually, it was really fun to have this gay couple that they brought the moms. And they were fighting over the song choice. One was Stand By Me, and the other one was Hey, No Mountain High Is Enough. So 2 different moods. So I said, let's make this indecision a thing. So I merged them, and I created this lovely theater where it's the 2 of them starting, and then we make the mom split them, like with an attitude. They split the couple, and they took their own sons. And then we swapped the moms, and then it became all together in a circle. So it became such a wonderful thing. They hugged me so tight because they didn't have no idea that it could have been. They started from the indecision,
Yeah.
to this fun thing where they start together, the mom come and split them, then they swap the mom, and then they all become like this together thing in the end.
Everyone got what they wanted.
Exactly. That is when the director, the actor in me comes in. Like recently, for example, somebody just came out that they wanted to do. I don't like the butt lift. I like lift, but not the one that's like lifting a body. And there was this gay couple that in the end they just wanted to just do the which I accepted in that case because of the same-sex nature. It becomes a little less weird to have you lifting the lady by the butt. However, then I said, okay, let's do it well. What I created, I still laugh about it because it worked out so well. What I created is that I set up a situation where they give an expectation that doesn't exist. It looks like they're about to do the dirty dancing one. So he runs like crazy and then he stops and, and it worked out so great.
I was
and that's
just
when
going to ask you about the Dirty Dancing one, as if you've done that one before.
I did that one. I usually, a confession, I try to discourage people from doing things that are done that are like, I want originality.
Yeah.
And even in that, I did do the dirty dance because they really wanted to I made two compromises. One, I need to do the salsa pattern because the one of the movie is so simplistic and on one. So I created a really nice salsa pattern. I'm a salsa, so with the salsa, it's got to be done right. So I created my salsa choreography with it, which was, forgive my lack of humility on that, better than the one of the movie. And then I did the lift, but I also wanted to be a little different in the movie. I said, can you do a 360? So I made him turn like 360 in there.
Wow.
Now, I'm glad that I went for it because they really wanted it.
Yeah.
They told me in the last rehearsal, they told me something that made me cry. And I'm glad they didn't tell me ahead of time. They confessed me that William, the groom, they planned the wedding while he was fighting leukemia. And he went through like 9 months of hell. They didn't quite know if the wedding actually would happen because there was a moment they didn't quite know what was happening. But they kept going as if everything was okay. So that Dirty Dancing lift meant, it makes me emotional even thinking about it now, meant proving one that the resilience, the strength, the longevity, the presence, the victory. And I'm glad that I didn't know anything about it because otherwise I know that I would be influenced. I would see him as vulnerable and he wanted to state quite the opposite. So I pushed him to a point that I made him even do a 3-6 steps there, which actually is the one at the end of my promo. You have my last rehearsal and then the actual wedding with everybody screaming. When he does that and the hug, that's the end of my promo. And in that rehearsal over there that you see in that video, it's right after that moment there that they tell me what was happening. And I, of course, got so emotional about it. And I'm so honored that they trusted me, that they made me part of something so important. So that Dirty Dancing lift, which I'm not fond of because, I want originality, is now so dear to my heart because it represents something so human and personal.
Sure.
The victory and the longevity and the resilience. And I'm very, very, very proud that they did that.
And that's a good segue into my next question for you, because you've compared dance to something lasting like a tattoo. So can you expand on that for us?
Yes, like the first dance, like the first song choice, is something that then lives in the vignette of a lifetime, right? Life is a whole lot of chaos, and then we have few moments that they remain very specific in our memory and heart. And I think these are one of those vignettes. So I feel that we are working towards that, and it stays forever. And if we do it right, it's not just the routine that stays in a vignette of a memory, but the trace of that knowledge and experience that remains in you to ever experience, to ever process and grow. I always tell people, let's get it right, not because we want to get the routine right. I want you to get the language in your body so that is what makes the dance organic. And then you keep on dancing on your own. Recently, I had this guy pass me by. We were both in a rush. He had his wedding. The awkward couple that didn't know that they could dance, they told me, oh my God, we go to weddings, we dance all the time. because of that language. Or a lady that called me was the friend of a client. I worked with her too. And she saw the wedding, and she told me that there was a group of friends getting married all in that year. And this couple were not dancers. They never danced on the weddings before. Then they had this great routine. And then when they were guests of the weddings after that, they did nothing but dance all the time. So the woman called me for the routine, but also I want to become them. I want to become the person who dance all the time. That is when I know that I did everything right. And in a few lessons.
Yeah. So on that note, I got engaged today. I'm not haven't picked a wedding date yet. How soon should one reach out to you for lessons?
Okay, that's a good question. There are people who are insane enough, like that. I saw them yesterday. I stayed there until midnight because I was full because the wedding is on Saturday, and I see them tonight as well,
Oh wow.
late because I'm full to be there because the wedding is on Saturday. So there are people who I always tell them, "Oh, you one of those?" It's a category of itself. Now, most of the time, people think to call me like a few months before the wedding. When people ask me that question, my general answer is this: the more time you have between me and the wedding, that what the magic is, because I don't like you needing me. So whether if it's 2 months, 1 week, my approach is the one where in 3-4 lessons you're done with me. But I cannot invent time. So the more time you have with what I give you, the more time you have to transcend me and every single thing we done in that room, for you to make it so comfortable that you go there without fear, without anxiety, and with complete access to your own interpretation of it. Like you turn a typed sentence into a written one, with your calligraphy. So, and also the closer to wedding, the busier you get. So instead of just adding stress to stress, pace yourself in a way that you don't have to make this stressful. If anything, you go, oh, screw the flower. Let's dance for a minute. And that's something that you don't have to organize with me, and you just can enjoy. So there are people who call me 6 months before. There are people who call me 18 months before because they want to learn language and dancing. I did this couple where we did like a 6 routine before then, 6 months before the wedding. They decided on, they indulged. They did 2 dances at that point, better. And that's when 6 months before the wedding, we aimed at the wedding dance. But otherwise, they were just doing routines for the experience of the routines. It's depending on how passionate you are about dancing. These people told me I changed their life because they keep dancing all the time. But that was what they were seeking. So that was something that they allowed me to do because they were seeking. At times, people don't even know that that's what they're doing. To me, the best review is when people tell me that they've learned to connect in a way they didn't know they could, that they found an aspect of each other they didn't know they had. That makes me cry when I see it, because I know that I'm transcending the dance, and I say, oh, I'm opening a personal door that it's about them and not the dance. Like I didn't know that we had this. And that to me is just gold. I can price that in any form. I give joy, I know, but it's a boomerang effect that comes back to me each and every time. That is why I make sure that in the audio I explain people I might not be your right choice, because I want to ensure myself that those who look for me expect this weird me. Otherwise, people just might shut down. In that case, then it's right that they find the right setting, because otherwise nothing would ever happen. So in the way, everybody wins. I'm happy because I need to be relaxed in this intimate moment. And if this is too much for some people, then I suggest looking for other sources.
So do they have to come? Do you ever do anything virtually? I know it's probably pretty hard by dance.
No, we tried it with that pandemic thing, but then it was just like really difficult. You know what I mean? Because I need touch. I need to take him. I need to take her. I need to see if they back leading, if they're leading. So I could, but I could not really deliver.
Yeah.
What I can do though, at times when people, I am so honored that people at times travel for me from Boston, LA, London, and in a week they know that we can do everything in 3-4 hours, and then they take everything they need. In that case, I always tell them, like, do ever like put something on video, send it to me, and I give you notes, and they don't even have to give me anything for it. That I can do because I know them, I created them, I met them. And therefore, and I also appreciate so much this guy, Andrew, came from London because he got the reviews and everything. Says, oh, you are a special dude. I want to work with you. The guy from Boston came once a month and then again, this wedding was in Brazil. This one from LA, they came in a week. We did everything like in that week. and also they tip me so generally, not that I would expect a tip, but the gratitude that they expressed was such that they needed to express it even more that way. They didn't need to, but I am appreciative because it reminds me that I really gave them a gift. And in that case, if people want to send me video, at times I even tell people, like, if you're anxious, just send me a video. I watch it. I give you notes.
Mm-hmm.
And that might just soothe, even if everything is okay. And
Sure.
I tell you everything is okay. If I can soothe your anxiety, I'm here. So I'm pretty much available that way.
And I know we're talking about weddings today, but do you do other than couples getting married? Do you just teach someone for whatever, just because they want to learn how to dance?
Often people come back to me after the wedding and they want to learn, and that's when I go, okay, let's go into salsa, because it's the one that you get to dance the most. Every day there is salsa dancing over here. And I often do that they come back to me and I do like 2 or 3 lessons. So enough for them to understand the language, and then I guide them in the right group lesson. It's cheaper, but more importantly, they rotate and they experience other partners, other leads and other follows. And it becomes like a social experience. But if they go there and they get intimidated, because of course in a group class you don't get the attention you need. So often people come to me, I set them up, and then they go. Or they come with friends in the way they share the space. Like I created my own group class with like 3 or 4 couples, in a way that I teach them together. It's fun because then I know one because of the couple, and then I know their friends. And then we create like this world that then they can just take on their own. So yes, that's kind of stuff happen. I mean, I'm focused on wedding couples, but at times people, once I had a proposal, this guy actually organized a mariachi band. So we synchronized, even with the studio, we synchronized everything. And she said, yes, thank God. And that was so special to just, for her, it was like a date, like a lesson date. There was no, and then it became this proposal with the mariachi band and stuff. That was so fun,
I bet.
Yeah.
So how can people get in touch with you? What is the best way for the listeners to reach you?
The Nat usually is where people find me. And of course, there is my website, youkandance.com. And I know they exist, this app out there, but I always suggest people just through the Nat or through my emails or through my phone, so text me, email, call me, or send me a message through the Nat. Those are the things that get my attention. The other app, yes, I should evolve. I understand. I'm Jurassic. I'm not just vintage. Let's say I'm vintage. It feels a little less horrible.
Yeah.
And so I know that I need to improve that. I am a proud TikTok virgin. For example, I never downloaded that. As a matter of fact, I'm also a Star Wars virgin, because I look at myself with these things and I think so Princess Lila. And I said, I was reminding myself, I never saw a frame of those movies. At times I insult people. I actually insulted a gay couple when I said that I never saw The Devil Wears Prada. He backed away from me. I said, I'm so sorry. I promised that one day after the wedding, we would just have a date and I come to your house and we watch it together. Here's my gay card. I'm so sorry. So yes, so I am I have a few virginity that I care for. TikTok is one of those. But yes, those are the way to connect with the nat.com. I know you can dance, or text me 917-297-9392, or email me directly. I know you can dance at gmail.com. Look, I plugged me. Ooh, how entrepreneurish.
For everyone listening, we will post all of those links on the site on YouTube as well as the website. It was such a pleasure getting to know you and talking to you. It makes me want to come to New York and take a dance lesson.
Yes, that's one. And I lost my virginity to a podcast. Here you go. I never done one before. So
and you did great. You're so natural.
I like talking to people, as you can see. Hence the audio message more than the typing one.
I love it. It was just absolutely thank you so much. Have a fabulous rest of your day. And everyone, again, this is Loretta Sternowski with Got Spouse Need House. We are a real estate organization that specializes in newlywed couples and engaged couples. And we have agents all across North America that would be happy to help you. And if you want to learn how to dance, this is definitely the person that you want to talk to.
Jazz hands. When in doubt, shake something.
Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Ciao.